Welcome to the Make More Money as a Dietitian podcast, where we talk about all things money, mindset, and marketing so your nutrition business can thrive and you can make a bigger impact in the marketplace. I am your host, Christine Diane, registered dietitian and money mindset expert. Let's get started with today's episode. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Make More Money as a Dietitian. Today's episode is another bonus episode that I'm really excited for you guys to take a listen to. If you don't know already, it's Black History Month. All right, it is Black History Month. And so in honor of that, I am interviewing some amazing dietitians, amazing Black dietitians in our profession, so that you all can get to know them better and really get to know their contribution to our profession better. And today I have for you Deanna Belleny, who is the co-founder of Diversify Dietetics. You may know of Diversified Dietetics, and you probably got a little better acquainted with Diversified Dietetics last year during the whole George Floyd catastrophe. And they're here to make a change in our profession. And as I mentioned, Deanna is the co-founder, and she's usually a bit more behind the scenes. So I really wanted to lend this podcast to her voice so that she can give you guys an idea of her role as a co-founder of Diversified Dietetics and how the nonprofit organization got started in the first place. So enjoy this episode. I think you really will love it. And let's get started. Hi there, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Make More Money as a Dietitian. I'm super excited for this episode today. Do y'all get tired of me saying that? I say that, I think, every day, but I just want to, or not every day, but every episode. But I just want to preface this by saying that I really, really mean it when I say that. I'm excited for all of my episodes, and I want to tell you why. Because I love doing this podcast, y'all. That's simple. It's just that simple. When you love what you do, you're super excited for all of the things. And so I am really excited for this episode because I have another guest interview highlighting Black voices in the field of dietetics. Of course, I'm going to love this. And today I have Deanna Belleny. Oh, Jesus. I said I wasn't going to mess it up. Deanna Belleny Lewis. And she is one of the co-founders of Diversified Dietetics. I think most of you who are familiar with Diversified Dietetics is used to the co-founder, Tamara Melton. And she is usually on the front lines and showing her face. And Deanna is doing all of the good things, somewhat behind the scenes, but still she's in there too. But I really wanted Deanna to come on today and talk to you guys more about Diversified Dietetics because this is a really important organization for our profession. So welcome to the podcast, Deanna. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thanks so much, Christine. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. So tell everyone a little bit more about you, Diversified Dietetics, and what your role is in the organization, which is a nonprofit organization, by the way.
It is, yeah. So my name is Deanna Belleny Lewis. I'm a registered dietitian. Diversified Dietetics, for those that haven't heard about it, we are a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to increase the racial and ethnic diversity of the field of nutrition by empowering nutrition leaders of color. So we are just, laser focused in on helping to increase the number of Black and Brown and Indigenous and people of color groups within the nutrition and dietetic field. I personally, a little bit about me, I'm from Texas originally. So I'm a Texan. I went to school, did all my undergrad, master's, and dietetic internship in the Houston, Texas area, which is a pretty diverse city itself. And so when I became aware of kind of the statistics of our profession and that, less than 12% identified as a part of a racial and ethnic minority group, as defined by the Academy. It was at FNCE, the Food and Nutrition Conference and Expo. And I think it was one of the times when I could look around and see how white the field was, because you could tangibly, physically see it.
Yes.
And then just had like a couple of experiences that I'd be happy to go into, but we'll talk a little bit more about Diversify. That just pointed it out and made it really apparent that I was one of the few in this sea. And so knew at that point that I wanted to do something that supported students and supported dietetic interns to get through this field, which is, has so many landmines to begin with some of the barriers, but also had the barrier of, educators' bias and bias of people that were letting people into the field. And so wanted to support students and mentor them in a way that, when they applied to the dietetic internship, there was no reason that they should be denied, Right. And so that's kind of where the idea came from me. And so I've been doing that since April of 2018. Absolutely love it. A lot of our programming is focused towards students, focus on professionals, excelling in the careers that they want, showing representation in the field of dietetics, through so many different professions. And then a little bit of our programming is focused on helping educators identify their biases and work to recruit and support students of color in their programs. So that's a little bit about it.
Yeah, I love it. And I want to dig a little bit deeper, if you don't mind, because I would love to hear a little bit of the hero's journey, so to speak, or the origin story behind how you and Tamara came together and created this nonprofit. You're a Texan, and I don't think Tamara's a Texan.
No, she's in Georgia. Yeah.
Yes. So how did you guys meet and create this?
Yeah. So I'll just do a little bit of background on those experiences that I had at FNCE, because it really led into what happened next in Tamara and I meeting. And so at FNCE, I, was on the conference floor, and, when you're there, you're trying different samples, you see different vendors, you have food. I was there with another dietitian coworker of mine who's a Black woman. We were waiting in line to get a free sample of yogurt, and had a white woman who was in front of us turn around, kind of like look us up and down, size us up, and like look surprised. And so we were, looking at each other, trying to figure out what she was looking at. And then she said, there's not that many of you here. And so we were like frozen, jaws on the floor, didn't really know how to react in that moment. We're just, trying to enjoy ourselves, get a free sample. But she proceeds, she turns around, she gets her sample, keeps walking. So that was like a strange experience. And then the next day, similarly, you're on the conference floor, there's just like people around everywhere. There's a poster session where you can see some of the latest research that dietitians are doing. And so, they're lined up, stacked poster to poster to poster. And so I was reading one of the posters, and it was about addressing barriers to getting more people of color into the field of nutrition. And it was presented by somebody that was kind of white presenting. I don't know what her race or her ethnicity was, but was reading it, and had another woman kind of walk up next to me, almost shoulder to shoulder. She's also taking in the data that's on the poster about, getting more people of color into the field. And she tells the poster presenter, I had an African-American in my class last year, and she didn't pass her dietetic internship exam. So I just don't know. And so again, it was just another moment where I was like, am I invisible? Like, does she not see me physically standing here in my, Black body? So we make eye contact, because I'm staring again with my jaw on the floor, just kind of in shock. I'm very much a processor, so I'm not good at like saying something immediately. So anyway, so she made eye contact with me and asked if I was a dietitian, and I said, yep. And then she proceeded to go about her day. So it was those two experiences that made me realize that, we talk about what a dietitian looks like and what a dietitian acts like. And sometimes it's said in a joking way, but I realized that joke was like more purposeful, and it was the reason our field looked like that was for a reason, and that those reasons were more systemic than I had even considered up until that point of my career. And so I reached out to one of the few Black dietitians I knew, which was my internship director. I went to HBCU for my dietetic internship, and asked her, like, is this a thing that educators talk about, like that this exists, that this statistic exists, that it's not moving and it hasn't been for decades, and that like people have these very apparent biases.
Mm.
And she basically said, yeah, like it is a thing. There are some directors that, you know, want their cohort, their group to look a certain way. And,
Wow.
you know, whether, you know, legal, of course, it's not legal to do that, but there's ways that they kind of have a workaround to do that. So anyway, I say all that to say I was very charged up after this Fincy and very like, I need to do something 2 days, started putting together what would become Diversify Dietetics, started drafting like a website, and reaching out to people on Instagram. And I remember Wendy from the Food Heaven Maybe
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
group, Wendy Lopez, had made a post about, you know, the diversity of students that she had recently seen in a classroom where she had maybe spoken. And so I told her, like, I'm interested in doing something. I have a few ideas, would love to run them past you. And she said, yes, be happy to help. You should also connect up with Tamara Melton, because I think
Mm-hmm.
she's been thinking about a similar idea. So that is how Tamara and I met. Wendy connected us. I reached out to Tamara via Instagram and just said, like, I'm thinking about doing something to support students of color, getting into this field. I heard you are too. Like, let's talk and have a brainstorming session. And so we did. I think the next week, I remember I was driving home from work when she called, and I had to like pull over into a parking lot, you know, in front of a laundromat, dry cleaner's office, and like the same things that she was saying, I had been thinking. The same experiences that, you know, I had, she'd seen with students that she had when she was working at in Georgia at the university that she's at. And so it was just very much pieces that were fitting together. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's how Diversify was born.
Yeah. And what year was this fancy, by the way?
That Fancy was, it was in Boston. I think it was 2015. It might
Oh,
have
that
been
was 2016.
2016. Okay, yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Were
Okay.
you there?
So, girl, yes, that
Oh
was
my
the
gosh.
year that I actually was chosen as one of the featured dietitians of the
Oh,
year.
nice.
And they did the whole opening ceremony by highlighting
Mm-hmm.
dietitians.
Wow.
And I want to say Darius was one of them.
Huh, okay.
That was featured. I want to say that. I hope I'm not misspeaking, but I recognize his face.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you know, there's not only very few of us black dietitians, but then there's even
A
fewer
male.
black male dietitians. So I don't
Yeah,
think that I am wrong. But yeah, so that means I was actually at that fancy. And
that's so
that was
crazy.
that was the one fancy that I had gone to that I had not been to many prior to that.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. Wow. Okay. What an experience that year. What
Yeah,
an
and I think,
experience.
I mean, and you know with Fincy, like if you go either with a coworker or maybe like not with a large group, it can be very isolating
Yeah.
because, you know, there's people that go in large groups and so they're like clicking together and walking on the floor together and you know, in the experiences that I had at Fincy, I had either gone either with one coworker or by myself. And so to have those experiences on top of feeling already isolated in this like huge conference where it seems like, you know, everybody knows everybody else,
Right.
was just not great. Like it was a time where I felt very you know, individualized within a profession that I had loved and was doing work that I loved. And so it was just
Mhm.
very confusing for me, but also like, I don't want any other student to feel like this when they come to a Fincy or when they, you know, are in their classroom or just trying to get
Mhm.
into this field in general. So it was a lot. It
Yeah.
was, yeah, I learned a lot from it.
Yeah, the whole there's not that many of you here. Like
Mm, mm-hmm.
I don't even know how I would have responded to that either. I'm like you, I process. You know, on the exterior, I probably seem like I'm very vocal in all of those things, which I am.
Yeah.
But when it's stuff like that, it
Mm-hmm.
shocks you so deeply that you're just like, what in the heck just happened?
Right.
And you just
Exactly.
have to process this. It's like, you know, you go through these moments of, did that really happen? Did she really say
Mm-hmm.
what she said? Did she really mean it that way? Like you have to process all of these thoughts before you can even conjure up a response.
Yeah.
And by that time, the person has walked off and you're
Right.
standing there feeling all of the feels, you know?
Yeah.
So I get what you were probably experiencing. So let's talk a little bit more about Diversified Dietetics and how you guys have been helping
Yeah.
students, especially since last year's 2020. What has been really happening for you guys since then?
Yeah. So we've always had a lot of our programming take place virtually, which was, ended up being a good thing once, COVID hit and a lot of our events, we did have some in-person events that we were hoping to do, but it was pretty seamless process of transitioning the things that we had been doing and continuing them. So one of the big programs that we do that I run is our mentor program. And that basically, just like it sounds, you pair a dietitian up with a student or a young professional, and they, engage in a mentoring relationship together.
Mhm.
Ours is a little bit more structured. And this was just based on my experiences in mentor programs. And, it's great to have a database where you can reach out and connect to mentors, but it's essentially a stranger. So like you need help facilitating that relationship, especially if it's virtually.
Yes.
And so our mentor program really makes a concerted effort to build community. And community is something that Diversify Dietetics, I'd say it's like our pillar core value. It's the first thing you see when you go onto our website.
Mhm.
So there's our mentor program. We currently have 100 students of color in that are paired with dietitians right now.
Mhm.
We offer workshops and webinars related to professional development, and that's available for students as well as professionals. One of the most recent ones we did was around getting paid, which I know is a topic that
Mhm.
we've talked with you about plenty of times.
Yes.
But we saw after the killing of George Floyd, a lot of us dietitians, I'm sure you can attest to this, we're getting hit up to do things like
Oh my
be on my
God.
Instagram, do this panel with me, do a webinar. And
Mm.
it's great if that's things that people want to do, but we wanted our community to not be taken advantage of and to be like, if you're going to do this, make sure you are getting paid for your time no matter
Yeah.
what. Like
Yeah.
exposure, no, like get paid for your time.
Mhm. Yep.
So these are just topics that we don't really talk about in school, and so we felt the need to do a whole webinar on it. We have topics of cultural humility and health at every size, and just again things that we don't delve into as deeply in our education. We have our local meetups, and the meetups have been a way that we've really been able to continue to build community with one another by meeting now virtually online to just be with one another and either complain or celebrate or just listen to what students are going through right now, trying to do rotations and do clinical rotations virtually. Um, and then we also have our DICAS application support program, which,
Mm.
like it sounds, helps students get their DICAS application to a point where it is ready to submit. And again, there's no reason they should not be accepted into a program because we've helped do due diligence. They've done all the work in the years previous to kind of make their resume and application look spotless. And then the last thing I'll say is that we really want to highlight representation and what it looks like to be a dietitian of color, not just in the traditional careers of clinical and community and food service, which are great and are important, but what does it look like to be a sports RD of color? What does it look
Mm.
like to run your own business, and how do you get that started? And so we really want to show representation in all of the subsegments and kind of niche areas of dietetics.
Oh, okay. I love it. I love, love, love all of that. And oh, it's so needed. It
Yeah.
really is so needed. And because our profession is so underrepresented with people of color, especially
Hmm.
Black dietitians, I'm just going to naturally assume that my listeners are
Yeah.
primarily white.
Mm.
And
Yep.
so I would love for you to um, express your own thoughts on why your
Mm.
organization is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think if we look at the trends of like the population, let's talk US specific, like the US is becoming more and more diverse.
Mhm.
And it's our job as dietitians, we impact everybody that eats, and that's everybody
Yep.
around the world. And so if we can't communicate effectively, if we can't, know what the right questions are to ask to figure out, how to meet somebody where they are, then we're not doing our job. Culture and food, play a huge role in kind of integrating with one another. And so it's just doing a disservice to our clients, to our patients, to the populations we're wanting to make an impact in, if we can't even get the option to say like the diversity of practitioners that could serve them. And I also think like one of the soapboxes I often get on is like our dietetics education, and how when we don't have diversity within the field of practitioners, that means we don't have diversity within people that are creating curriculums and educating the future dietitians, and like leading organizations that are putting policies together that impact, us as individuals, but communities at large. And so that kind of trickle down effect really, the lens of what we're looking at health through is a very Eurocentric and white lens. And again, if we're looking at everybody that eats, not everybody eats through that same, Eurocentric white lens. So,
amen, right?
There's just not enough education done. There's not enough diversity to support, engaging in conversations with people that didn't grow up eating the things that you ate or doing the things that you did. And that just doesn't make us, that makes us, just not great practitioners as a whole. And I think there's other fields that are out there, like health workers and nutrition coaches, that do have more diversity. And I think if we want to compete and want to show that we as dietitians like are the nutrition experts, are the people that should be, that have this expertise in food and nutrition, then we need to really do better at representing a population of what our patients look like.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And that woman who I'm going back because I'm just really riveted by these conversations that you had at FNC, the woman who was standing at the poster session and made that comment about having a Black student who didn't pass. If you could say something to her now after the shock has worn off, like, what would you want to say to her?
That's such a good question. Part of me wants to just ask or point out, I don't know which way it will come out in the moment, but like, have you thought about the number of white practitioners that have not passed the RD exam? Like, given that our field is, 80% white, you're one Black student that didn't pass the exam the first time, statistically, there's probably a good chunk of white RDs or RDs to be that did not pass the exam the first time. So where is that bias coming from that you think that it was just because of her race that she didn't pass the exam? Like thinking about like flipping the question of not why did she fail, but like why did you fail her in educating her on what she needed to know in order to pass that exam?
Right.
Would be a question that I would probably have for her.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you feel she wasn't prepared? Why was she ill prepared? Or are you just assuming that because she or he is Black, that they are not even capable of passing, which it almost sounds like she was implying, well, this person is Black. I had a Black student who couldn't even pass the exam.
Right. Like, so why should she be in our field? Yeah, no, exactly what she was inferring. And I think that critical self-reflection is what is also missing. And I think we're talking about it more and getting better at it. And I think like the events over this summer and just being in lockdown and quarantine has allowed people to be more self-reflective and to think about like their own identity and how it impacts how they interact with patients, how why they have the friends that they have, all of these questions. But that doesn't happen, and educators are often not questioned, especially by their students. I know just from my own personal experience, like I would not have done that to push back and ask those sorts of questions for myself because of just like the power dynamics that are there. So yeah.
Well, thank goodness for Diversified Dietetics. I wish I had something to support me. I mean, back in the 90s, look, that was a long time ago. But I remember when I was changing my major from pre-med over to dietetics, and the counselor told me simply, poker face and everything. Don't you think these were her exact words. Dietetics is a really hard major.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to do hotel and restaurant management instead?
Yeah.
I must have looked at her like she was crazy. Do I look like I want to manage a hotel or a restaurant? No.
Yeah. that tracking, it happens to so many of our students where, yeah, if there's a school that even has like a nutrition major where you go the dietetics route, or a nutrition major where you don't go the dietetic internship route, they'll be tracked the other way because it's like, it's such a competitive field. And I know for me, in one of my preceptor, in my internship, one of my preceptors basically was like, you should focus more on food service than you should on clinical, because it was like a food service and clinical, or a clinical food service rotation. And she alluded that like I would be more successful pursuing food service than I would be clinical. And like, yeah, anyway, there's a lot of issues with the tracking that happens of students for whatever, again, biases, unconscious or conscious, that people have.
Well, in my thought pattern, and color me crazy, but I'm thinking, okay, so you just want to filter all of us into this service
Yeah,
oriented profession where we're going to have to work 80 to 90 hours a week instead of having a real true profession, like
yeah.
with licensure and credentials. How
Hmm.
dare we have a credential behind our name?
Right,
But go into hotel and restaurant management so you can work me to death for a little bit of nothing, which
right.
is just the history of Black people in America anyway. So
Hmm.
let's keep us in a box where we are still being of service and working ourselves into the ground just to have a little bit of the pie, instead of allowing us to have a piece of the pie where we have credentials behind our name and we are seen as professionals, and
Yeah.
we are able to help our own communities with this profession. I mean, come
Yes.
on, really? That would be too
Preach.
much like the
Yes.
right thing. So here I am getting all riled up. Let me stop because the
I'm
hairs on
snapping to it. Yes.
the hairs on the top of my head are just like, girl, where are we going? Where are we going right now, Christine? My hairs are just sticking up
Hmm.
like, woo. So so yeah, this organization of Diversify Dietetics, I'm praying that and I really truly mean I'm praying that this organization outlives you and Tamara.
Oh, yeah.
This organization is going to continue on for generations to come. This
Yeah.
organization is going to continue to help people of color, all people groups of color, to get into this profession and be of service to their communities, because God knows we need it. We
Yeah.
need it so bad because of the way that historically, I would speak for Black people. I can't speak for all people of color, but Black people who are descendants of slaves who have been taken and stripped from their origins, their
Hmm.
cultural foods,
Yep.
and things of that nature, and brought here to eat scraps. We are
Yeah.
the ones who are struggling the most with chronic health conditions and aren't
Right.
receiving the help that we need. So I
Yeah.
really do pray that Diversified Dietetics continues on beyond the two of you.
Yeah.
And I think it will. I know it will. It's just going to be amazing. And this it's just the beginning. This is just the beginning for Diversified
Oh,
Dietetics.
yes. Yeah. I'm
Um,
confident that it will definitely outlive us. I'm
mm,
super excited about, recently we submitted an application to become a dietetic internship site. And I think if we think about our mission of increasing the diversity of the field, that is like a tangible way that we're able to say, we provided, 8 more dietitians in the field are here because of the diversified dietetic internship. And that just compounds year after year after year after year. So
mm,
yeah, I know for a fact that it will outlive us, and I know that that's our goal as well. And I think that's also part of the reason why we show our faces less and less. I feel like since we got started, because we knew it was more about the community than it was about Tamara and Deanna.
mm-hmm,
It was
mm-hmm.
more about like us as a collective unit, and that's the only way that Diversify has been able to grow to the point that it has been now, is
Yeah.
because of the support of the people that are a part of this larger community. And so yeah, forever grateful, and I know it will continue to flourish as time goes by.
Yeah, yeah, and yes. Oh my gosh. And it brings to mind how I want the same thing for Embody Academy, the membership
Mm, yes.
program that I just created last fall. I've always said this, that Embody Academy is going to outlive me, because you and I just spoke a little bit about how the curriculum in dietetics needs to change. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that is part of what I have created with the academy, because the way that dietitians who want to go into their own nutrition business, the way that they are going about it is so haphazard, and it feels just very out of alignment with who they are and who they want to be and who they want to represent
Mm,
themselves in their practices, because they've
yeah.
been, you know, how can I say it? They've had a lot of different voices speaking at them from all different directions. Do it this way. No, do it that way.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait, my way is best. And I'm here to bring people back to themselves and help them to trust themselves, to know that they can market in their most authentic way and build a business in the
Mm-hmm.
way that they want to build it. If you don't want to use social media, don't use social media. If you want to use social media, use it, but use it in a way that is authentic to you. You know,
Yeah.
drop it in people's DMs and being all scammy and gross is just not cool. I'm just here to tell you. So,
Yeah.
yes, so
I was
that
having, oh, sorry.
no, I was just going to say that is going to be
Yeah.
part of the contribution to changing how dietitians stand out in their own leadership roles, especially the ones who
Right.
want to be in business for themselves.
Yeah. And I think what people do in our field, kind of like we talked about, the whole tracking is what people also do when we become professionals. And they say, like, you should work with this group, you should just do
Mm-hmm.
this, like, you should
Mm-hmm.
fit into this box. And I think one of the things that we try to do at Diversify is like to always amplify people that are doing different things, because it's unconventional, because it's like, no, you don't have to fit into this particular box. You can do it however you'd want to do it. You have a right to excel in whatever aspect of the field you have to excel in. Um, and then I was just thinking as you were talking, I've had this conversation with one of our board members just about starting businesses in general, and
Mm-hmm.
how, you know, because of Instagram and because of social media, and like uh, there's a pressure to do certain things in our field that, you know, and like you said, being your authentic self, you have to figure out what works best for you. You don't have to necessarily follow what everybody else is doing based on what
Mm-hmm.
you see on your feed.
Oh my God, right.
And so it's just really interesting to me, the way our field conditions us to like want and do certain things over other fields. It's just, yeah, interesting to me.
I tell you, my whole Instagram feed is just a plethora of dancing dietitians, um, pointing dietitians, and then there's the infographics that all look very similar but with different content. I remember the ones that they've kind of died away now, but the ones where, the dietitians would stand on a split screen type of
Yes.
infographic
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and do this but not that, or whatever, and it's like, does everyone have to do the same thing? Can you show up and be a little bit more unique and different? Like,
Yeah.
why are we so afraid to be ourselves? Why do we feel
Mm-hmm.
like we have to follow the the trend just because of an
Right.
algorithm? Oh,
Right.
well, I seem to be doing pretty well. I do not do reels. I do not do all of the other things that people are doing, and
There's
I'm
no
doing
dancing Christine
okay.
on the internet.
No, they will not see Christine pointing and dancing. That's just not going to happen. Oh, I mean, I'm just not coordinated enough. I don't find that I have the time. I'm just going to keep it real. Like, I am not coordinated, okay? So I'm not coordinated enough to do that, and I don't have the time or the patience to edit
Yeah.
those things. I'm just like, okay, the time and the patience, no. And the time and the energy that it would take for me to do one reel, I could be socializing with someone who needs help somewhere
Yeah.
else. Like, my
Right.
way of marketing is relationship marketing. I can talk to you all day long and help you and be of service and send you on your way. And when you think about that challenge again, you're going to remember me.
Yeah.
And that's it. But that
Right.
reel, people not going to remember reels after a while. It's going to be a whole nother thing. And then what? Your reel is gone. Then what?
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
building relationships to me is more effective, and
Yeah.
it's is long lasting. People remember what is that? What is that quote? Was that Maya Angelou?
Maya, remember how
People,
you
go ahead.
make them feel? No, I mean, I just remember the end of the quote where people will remember how you make them feel.
Yeah. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here
Yeah.
to give you that cozy, warm feeling of oh wow, she really cares. Like she really just helped me out, and she spent the time. I will hop on a Zoom call
Right.
and help people. This is what people need. We need to bring back socialization and meaningful relationships. In my opinion, that's what we need. So that's what I'm here for.
Love it. Love it. That needs to be on a t-shirt. Bring back socialization.
Oh my God, yes, girl. I need so many t-shirts. I mean, I can't remember. There was I don't know if I was doing a podcast interview or if I was doing something else, but I told somebody that I was going to have a shirt made that says worthy AF, because that is me. I am worthy of everything. No
Love it.
one can talk me out of that. I remember that day that I said I was going to get that shirt made, and I definitely need that one. And I think, speaking of that, I think that will be a great shirt for all of your Diversified Dietetics students.
Yeah.
Worthy AF. They are worthy to be
Absolutely
in the profession, doing what they love and making good money.
And say it again.
Yes. Okay. Like we need to be in that. Yeah. That whole snap. The spoken word. Yes. Making good money at it. Well, thank you so much, Deanna. I really, really love this conversation. I love this topic. If there's one thing that you would like to leave the listeners with as a takeaway, what would you want it to be?
Ooh, as a takeaway. I mean, I can't say enough. Support Diversified Dietetics. You can do that by donating on our website. You can do that by volunteering to be a mentor or a preceptor, or by connecting us with companies that you think are aligned with our mission, vision, and values. Follow us on Instagram at Diversified Dietetics. And that would be my lasting thought, is just support this great organization that is really supporting our field and the people of color in our field.
Yes. Awesome. So that's diversifydietetics.org. You guys, This is not a .com. This is a .org. So go check them out. And I will definitely have all of their information in the show notes so that you can take a look and donate if you wish. You can donate of your financial resources, or you can donate of your time. Either way is most appreciated. And let's keep moving forward with diversifying this profession, because look, y'all ain't here by yourself. We here to stay.
Yeah, got a long way to go, but we're doing it.
Yes, we are definitely doing it. All right. Thank you so much, my friend. And thank you, friends, for listening to another episode of Make More Money as a Dietitian. And have a great week and weekend ahead. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye. Hey, if you want to learn more about how you can make more money as a dietitian, I want you to check out my newest signature program, Embody Academy. All you have to do is head on over to moneymindsetdietitian.com/embody-academy. Again, that's moneymindsetdietitian.com/embody-academy, and click on the Learn More button and get signed up to join us today. I can't wait to see your name on the roster so that I can help you learn how to make more money as a dietitian.